And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, Tom Vasel here, and today I'm talking about a game called Release. It's kind of an odd box. Release is a Kickstarter project that was started by a software programming company, and it advertises quite a few other programming companies. But it's a trick-taking game that actually is this small. This is the game, but they added a whole pile of plugins, or just basically modules for the game that can be played. Now, I like trick-taking games, but some of them are a little off for me. Is this one of those? In this game, you have two decks of cards. You have a deck of cards that's made up of 3 suits of cards. There are doors, penguins, and fruits, which may or may not be based on popular programming systems. There is also a deck here called the Tools and Methods deck, so that will be placed near the board. The 3 suits in the main deck go from 2 to 13. The 11, 12s, and 13s of each of the suits have different people on them who I'm really not sure who they are, but I hear they're famous programmers. And so those are all shuffled together, and they are dealt out to the different players in the game. Now, the number of players in the game can be 2 plus, but if you play with more players than 5, then you have this extra deck of cards that you can throw in, and now it goes up to 10. Hooray! Now, this game is a trick-taking game, which means on a player's turn, whoever goes first can pick any card from their hand and play it. Each other player, if in turn order, must play the same suit if they have it. So if I play doors, they must also play doors. The next person must also play doors. If you don't have any door cards in your hand, then you can play any card. So they play a penguin. That means they have no doors in their hand. Whoever plays the highest card in that trick is going to win that trick. They then will start the next trick. So maybe they play fruits, and then someone else plays fruits. And this person doesn't have fruits either, so they play, oh no, they have fruits, I lied. Here's their fruit card, and the fruits. So the 12 wins. But there's also a special ability here. This says if you commit this card to the last iteration of a release, you score 4 points. Now, this game loves using the weird technology. Iteration means trick in this game, and release means round. So if this is the last card you play from your hand, you get 4 points, which makes this card very interesting because you're trying to hold on to it, but if it's the only fruit card left that you have to play it, which may be what happened here. And then they win the trick. You keep going till all the tricks have been won. Now, before each round starts, you're going to draw the top card of the Tools and Methods pile. This pile tells you how scoring is going to work in that round. So here, you're going to get 3 points for every 3 of a kind. So as you're winning tricks in this round, you are trying to get the same number. So for, let's say we get 3 6s, then hooray, we're going to get 3 points. If we got 3 6s and 3 4s, we'll get 6 points. This is the only scoring. Everything else does not matter. Sometimes scoring is positive, other times it's negative. Here, and sometimes it's a mix. Here, you get 1 point for the 2 to 9 of doors. You get 2 points for the 10 to 13 of doors. So you really want doors. But you lose 1 for each bird. This is for someone who loves Windows, because door stands for Windows and birds stand for Linux, and so you love Windows, and so you get points for having doors, but you lose points for having birds. And so each card is going to be different. There's going to be all sorts of scoring. Here you get +1 for a 4, 5, 6 straight, but you lose 2 for every 13 that you have. Here you get +2 for every trick you win, but you lose 1 for every 12. Here you just lose 2 points for every 2 of a kind. So when that happens, you don't want to win any tricks at all. After the release, the round is over, you go to the next round and you continue until after 5 rounds, and whoever has the most points is the winner. If you're playing with an even number of players, 4, 6, 8, etc., then you will play as partners, and the person across from you is your partner, and you will combine your points. You will also combine your tricks that you win during each release to score. The game also comes with a ton of plugins. For example, this one here Each plugin is sponsored by someone, so this one's sponsored by DevExpress. Anyway, this replaces the 4s in the deck. So now 4s have special abilities. After you commit this card, you can force someone else to discard a card from their hand. If you do, then you and the other players must discard a card from their hand. And then it also comes with 3 different cards that go into tools and methods. This is one of the smaller plugins. Then we have medium plugins like this one here from JFrog, which gives a whole pile of cards that go into tools and methods deck, and also replaces the 2s, 3s, 4s, and 9s, and adds a new rule to the game, which gives you a library. You put at the beginning of each round, you put 3 cards face down in front of you that are a library, and you can replace a card that you've played with one of these cards at any point. But these 2, 3s, 4s, and 9s all have cards that affect the libraries. Then there's the even bigger ones, like this one here, sponsored by Puppet Labs, which adds a 4th trick, a 4th suit to the game here. And this suit is the trump, so whenever it's played, it automatically wins a trick. And it also adds a completely new deck of these tools and methods cards that will then have something to do with the different, adding the 4th suit. And there is a ton of these plugins. You can put in multiples of them, although that can make the game go a little crazy. And the game also comes with these wooden things that tell you about the different people, and that's kind of boring, so we're just going to ignore that for now. But that's how the game is played. There's many different variations, but each time you play, you follow the same basic rules, and you play 5 times, and most points is the winner. I was very pleased with this game. I mean, there's some caveats. I thought that, for example, the cards with the faces on them, this Kathy Sierra, whoever she is, it shows the number and the symbol, but the symbol, I wish the symbols had been bigger on these cards, just for ease of play. The main cards themselves are very clear and easy, and I guess there's the whole haha, it's Windows and Macs and Linux, or Linux. I guess a haha, they're there. But other than that, I don't know anything else about it. I didn't even know, I thought these companies weren't even real that were in the game. I'm just not a programmer. I don't know all the different terms, so maybe programmers would enjoy a lot of the inside humor in this perhaps. But if we take that out, you're not a programmer per se. You would still like this if you like trick-taking games. It's pretty solid. Essentially, you're turning the card over, and that's what you're trying to score this time. And it's a game with 3 different suits instead of the normal 4. It reminded me a lot of a game from Yellow called The Dwarf King, which had some very similar aspects to this one. The big difference with this one is basically all those plugins, and if you have 2 decks, you can go to a very large amount of players, although I don't see how that's any fun at all. To me, trick-taking games should be kept 6 and under if possible. The game itself plays very smoothly. Adding in each of the different plugins will slow the game down, if only because many of them add in different cards that have special abilities. I mean, you could make every numbered card in the game have a special ability, but that will really slow the game down. I highly recommend using maybe just 1 or 2 at the most of any of these plugins. The ones I like the most are the ones that add a whole extra suit, because I like 4 suits, and I like especially the one where the suit becomes a trump suit. There's one that adds a pile of cards that are the same cards, so that there's 2 of each number in the deck, or several of the numbers in the deck, and in that case, whoever plays the number first has the higher number in that round, and that adds a bit of chaos. So kind of like this is a mix and match. You get all this, and hey, you get free advertising for companies that you may or may not care about inside. Interesting. I like it. The price point isn't bad. The box cover is a little bland, and the game itself might not inspire, ooh, that looks really cool, but it is a solid trick-taking game with some chaos involved, but enough chaos that I like it. Dice Tower Judgment, approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!